How a Beast Games crew member was nearly crushed on set. I don't want to unalive. Right, this is by Stephen A. Sarch. You may have heard that name. Ladies and gentlemen, about 3 months ago now, on December 31st, I did a video called Beast Games Might Be Cancelled Now. And in this video, I ended up covering a very, very grave, dangerous situation at the Beast Games in Toronto involving an employee that was working alongside MrBeast, right? People described it as being disorganized and the conditions were very unsanitary, and a lot of ramblings were going on behind the scenes. A lot of things were happening behind the scenes and we haven't really heard anything about it until today, my friends. A Beast Games employee almost lost their life on the set in an accident that they claim was preventable. Now, this is coming from Business Insider. You can trust Business Insider. They're not some slot peddlers. They're not some Beast glazers. And they're also not really Beast haters. They're just covering the news, covering things that are happening. And this is something that needed to be talked about. This literally came out March 1st, 2025, 1816. So that literally came out like an hour ago at the time of me filming this, right? A Beast Games employee was gravely injured on set, with him requiring surgery to completely reconstruct his shoulder, as well as some of his organs having to be removed in order to keep him alive. He claims unsafe conditions on the set are to blame for him getting hurt. A freelancer working on the Beast Game set named Sam told his side of the story to Business Insider, claiming that the set being improperly marked resulted in him walking beneath a tower that was being disassembled by other crew members. Again, this is something we covered a few months ago, so it's good to finally get an update on exactly how this went. Now, I'm going to read the rest of this Dexerto article, or at least like some of the main points, but we will get into the Business Insider article, so if you're impatient, just bear with me. But if you do want to know the full story, bear with me as well, and we will get there. Beast Games employee slams condition, right? Sam was located in the basement section of this multi-story tower, untangling wires on set when he walked into an area that was supposed to be cordoned off. This is where the story diverges. Now, speaking of untangling wires, I don't know if you guys remember, like, there were stories about wires and like electrical cables and things being submerged inside of water. Obviously, you can tell how that gets a little dangerous once water touches cables and touches electronics. You know, that's how electricity comes. That's how people start getting zapped, right? Not a great thing that you want to happen, especially when you're working freaking Beast Games. People are probably making, what, 20 something an hour? I don't know, probably more, right? Still don't want to lose your life on a freaking game show. Both Sam and an anonymous supervisor working on the set claimed that there were no markings to indicate that there was construction happening above them, right? So two people claim that there were no markings happening. Let's highlight that. All right. Now, another source that spoke with Business Insider claims that there was a marked path, right? So we have two conflicting sources. As always, do not take one as fact. We got to take in both into account. I don't remember seeing any pylons, a guarded off area, or anyone telling us that they were moving walls, Sam said, claiming that he and the aforementioned supervisor walked that same path he had been injured on in the hours leading up to the incident. As a result of the incident, the production was shut down for the day on September 11th, 2024, with Canadian law enforcement going in to investigate the scene. This is corroborated by a report from the CBC, and at the time of writing, the full investigation into how Sam got injured is still underway. This is, again, the article that we covered in December, or at least very similar to it. Ontario Labour Ministry investigating injury on Toronto set of Beast Games. And, you know, when I covered this, I originally said that, hey, maybe Jimbo's not really to blame for this. But after like reading more and learning more about the way this was handled after the fact, it's not looking good for Jimmy, right? I gave him a little too much leeway, gave him a little too much respect, I guess you would say. Sam claimed that he was given $1,000 worth of Uber and DoorDash gift cards in the wake of the accident when a producer visited him in the hospital. $1,000 worth of Uber and DoorDash. Let's highlight. Guys, could you imagine that? Not even like an Amazon gift card. Literally, the company is ran by Amazon. The Beast Games production was being ran by Amazon. Not like a $10,000 Amazon card, literally like a black card for Amazon. Buy whatever you want. It's on us. Don't sue us, please. No. They're saying, you know what? You're going to get Uber. You're going to get DoorDash. I don't even know if this counts as like Uber Eats, DoorDash food. Is it just car rides? Like they're literally just going to cover his travel up to $1,000 worth, which will kind of add up pretty quickly. I don't know if you guys know, in 2025, $1,000 is not a lot of money. It's by no means a small amount, but it's definitely not a large amount anymore. And, you know, an Uber ride 20, 30 minutes away is going to be like $30. That's going to add up pretty quickly. And that would suck if you got $1,000 for almost losing your life on the production of a game show. Now, a Beast Games employee said that the employee explicitly asked for them and was offered other forms of compensation. So I guess the person who was gravely injured wanted $1,000 worth of Uber and DoorDash gift cards. I guess maybe as like a way to get to other productions and work, or, you know, back home. Again, very interesting because, you know, if my shoulder blade was almost ripped off and, you know, I'm in a hospital for weeks, I think the last thing on my mind is going to be going back to work, at least anytime soon. You know, I'd probably want my my wages garnered, or my wages covered, my income covered, my income siphoned, you know, things like that, right? He was also compensated by Canada's Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, but taking that payment makes it much harder for him to pursue compensation from Beast Games production company directly. Ooh, right? So that's kind of like a little hush-hush situation. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm not accusing Jimmy of that. I'm not accusing Beast Games, Amazon, anyone of that. But they're basically like, hey, we're going to give you a little compensation, but you can't sue us. You can't ask for more after the fact. And that's kind of sketchy. We saw that same thing with the chick who got brain damage, right? Where she ended up saying like, yeah, I think I'm doing okay. And then after the fact, she tried getting some type of compensation and they weren't really willing to work with her because, you know, it was so late, so after the fact. Sam then says, I still can't use my left arm like I was able to. At the moment, I can only lift maybe 2 pounds, and while I'm working with physio to hopefully get it back to normal, I lost my spleen, so I'm also immunocompromised. And though Sam didn't directly blame Beast for the incident, he called on the YouTuber to address it directly. And I think that's probably the best thing Jimmy can do in this situation. I mentioned back in December when I first covered this, I do not think Jimmy was responsible for this. I think that the entire production could have been done better. A lot of the things inside of this production were handled terribly, but I don't think Jimmy was like controlling a little crane with like a big evil grin and he pushes a big red button and like drops it on the guy, right? But he was pretty much the face of this organization, and he's probably the richest person working on this production, and I do think that he should figure out a way to work alongside this person to get this issue resolved. Now that you made it this far, I do appreciate you sticking around. This is the Business Insider article that pretty much started all of this, got the word around, how a Beast Games crew member was nearly crushed on set. I don't want to unalive, right? This is by Stephen A. Sarch. You may have heard that name. He's done a lot of work on the Beast stuff. Probably one of the best people covering this entire situation. As you can tell by Rolling Stone, he was one of the first people on the ground covering the Chris Tyson stuff, right? He got into the MrBeast stuff, a Firefest feeling inside the chaos of Beast Games. He covered the Lunchley mold issues, the misconduct allegations, right? He's been there since the beginning, and he definitely started with the Chris Tyson stuff. For all the people out there who are like, yeah, this guy's just a Beast hater, he started with the Chris Tyson stuff, which we can all pretty much agree was not great. He definitely shouldn't have been in those little discords. He shouldn't have been hanging out with those people of that age. You guys remember all of that? It wasn't that long ago. But let's just get into it, right? This is pretty much how it goes. It was his first day as a freelance crew member on the Toronto set, the new game show from the YouTuber MrBeast. He was helping break down the set labeled Beast City, a mini town with a basketball court, tables, cabins, and a tower on the northern side. He weaved in and out of the set props while wrapping up cables. At one point, he walked into a section of the tower, a giant rectangular 4-story structure that looked like it was made of concrete. When he exited the tower, he collapsed and hit his his head. He couldn't move his arm and felt a searing pain in his shoulder. He started coughing up blood. I don't want to blank, a witness recalled him saying. Sam didn't know it, but the workers had been disassembling the tower above him, and a dislodged section had fallen and sliced his left shoulder. He spent 8 days in the hospital, where doctors removed his spleen and performed reconstructive surgery on his shoulder, suffering a lung confusion and hemothorax and damage to his ribs, scapula, spine, and clavicle, medical records show. So this is some hearsay, this is some nonsense this guy's just making up. There's medical records to back it up. Again, the gift cards, the Uber gift cards, the DoorDash gift cards kind of help that case, that there was indeed something going down, something happened, someone was to blame, and they were taking their blame by basically saying, here, we're sorry, here's $1,000 worth of, Taco Bell deliveries and Uber, right? He said it took months of physical therapy to regain use of his arm, and that his surgeon said he couldn't return to work until spring. Good Lord, it's only freaking, what is it? March 1st. This guy has got a long time to be out of work. And again, I feel like $1,000, not in cash, in DoorDash and Uber gift cards, right? Basically money to freaking travel to and from, and you have to tip people, you have to pay for little Uber fines and fees and whatnot, and food deliveries is nothing. An executive producer visited him in the hospital and provided an envelope containing the gift cards of $1,000. A person close to the production said that was something he asked for and that he was repeatedly offered other forms of support. Now, I guess we'll have to figure out, from Sam, if he ever talks about it, what the other forms of support are, right? Because that's kind of going to be how we look at Jimmy. Again, I still think Jimmy should make a public statement or something, or give this guy other forms of compensation if he hasn't already. But it's basically up to Sam. If Sam said, no, I'm good, $1,000 of Uber should suffice, that's kind of on him, right? It's kind of on him. I know if MrBeast's production breaks my rib and larynx and all this other stuff, I want 10% of his channel, right? Now, again, it's not a laughing matter, but I try to make light of things like this. Accidents on set happen, but this one seemed preventable, he told Business Insider in an interview. He requested Business Insider use only his first name to protect his identity, which is known to Business Insider, right? If it was really well organized or well communicated, this wouldn't have happened in the first place, he said. He wants MrBeast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, to publicly acknowledge the incident and ensure something like this would not happen again. And I completely agree with that. Jimmy's covered a lot of things lately. He's been talking about Dog Pack, he's been talking about the lunch lease stuff. He's talked about a lot of the dramas and controversies that he's been involved in over the past few months, but I don't think he's addressed any of the injuries that people have been coming out about. And again, it's really tricky because a lot of it comes down to is Jimmy really to blame for these incidents? So does he directly have to apologize for them, right? I think that's probably what his brain's at and what his team's brain is. They're probably we don't have to apologize for something that we really didn't do. We gave this guy money. We try to compensate with him. We've worked with him behind the scenes. And we don't need to make this a public spectacle more than it already is. Again, that's probably what's going through his brain, but I'm not Jimmy, right? I'm not the largest YouTuber in the world, so I can't speak for him. Now, again, we get to the point where a lot of people, 5 contestants, filed paperwork in September seeking class action lawsuits or status against Donaldson, the production companies behind the show, accusing them of dangerous circumstances and conditions on the set, right? The case status is still pending, according to a summary, with the next hearing set for March, so this month, hopefully. Some crew members told Rolling Stone that the on-set conditions in Toronto had improved, but that the work environment was loose with safety, which is something you never want. You never want to be loose with safety, right? You want to wear a loose shirt? That's okay. Loose pants? I'm not worried about it. Safety is one thing you don't want to be loose with, because then you end up on Business Insider. Not so great, right? Sam's first and last day of work on Beast Games was September 11th. Business Insider pieced together what happened that day based on interviews with Sam and 2 other Beast Games crew members who witnessed or were aware of the incident, along with medical records, emails, and other documents. The tower on set was covered in 8x8 wood squares made to look like concrete, right? So this wasn't some styrofoam. This wasn't some like really soft, brittle plastic that's kind of like for props, or like fake concrete that's like for movies where you like break in and like breaks in like a little punch, right? This was wood, but it was shaped and designed to look like concrete. Now, you don't want wood falling on your head, right? 8x8 foot wood squares. You know, imagine going to Home Depot and they have like the wooden pillars, or like the wooden pieces, the slabs, you know, people use that for home construction or whatever. Just imagine an 8x8 one landing right on top of you, right? It's not going to feel so great. And this doesn't even go into like how wide it is. Maybe it does, 8x8. Usually when I think 8x8, I'm thinking like this by this, but it could be like, you know, dimensions as well. Like if it's a box, you know what I mean? Each square was about 4 or 5 inches thick and seemed to weigh a couple 100 pounds. See, that's why you read, because I would have made it there if I would have just read a few more sentences. 100 pounds of wood shaped like concrete to look like concrete landing right on top of you is absolutely absurd. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, again, he describes the incident. He describes how someone rushed to Sam's side, immediately radioed for a medic, describing a bloody scene. Remember when I was by Sam's side looking up and seeing someone's head popping up out of the empty hole where the square had been. A person close to the production said that Sam wasn't using the established path to exit the tower and that it was technically a prohibited area. Sam and the supervisors there said there was no indications on the ground floor that there was work being done above him. Right now, you got people behind the scenes. You had some people trying to protect, some people trying to work for. And this is tricky. This is why stuff takes forever when it involves legal issues, money, health insurance things. People are always trying to protect their own tail. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in like a retail space or any type of store. They have so many rules and regulations. You know, they have a guidebook that's this big. It's like the Bible, you know, the Target Bible, right? When you apply, and it's going to say in like, you know, there's like 5 pages about how to protect yourself, how to protect the company, how to use tools properly, how to use machines and whatnot. And this is all to protect themselves because they don't want you to get hurt and try to sue them because you read the guidebook. You see, it's on page 947 of the New Testament of the Target Handbook, right? And that's basically to protect themselves. It looks like a situation's happening here where they're doing that exact same thing. They're trying to say, well, he wasn't supposed to go there, so it's kind of his fault. But then the other coworker was like, well, there wasn't anything labeled there to say that. And again, that's where we get this one, an ongoing investigation. That's kind of what's going to happen because there's so many different sides to this story that we'll never really know, I guess, until Jimmy comes out with a statement. If Jimmy makes a statement about it, apologizes, it's pretty much him admitting he knew something happened that shouldn't have happened, right? An ambulance arrived on the scene within minutes and rushed Sam to the emergency room of the Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center, the largest trauma center in Canada. The production crews halted work for the day while Ontario's Labour Ministry, Canada's agency that protects workers, and the police visited the site to investigate. Sam said his family contacted multiple lawyers in September regarding any legal action that they could take and were told he couldn't sue because he took a payment from the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board. Dangerous stuff. They provided the insurance benefit for injured workers. Now, here he says his injury has made him scared to go back on set. So we're dealing with like a little bit of PTSD. I mean, I'd be scared too, right? You're scared. You don't know where you can't even walk anymore because big piles of wood might drop on your noggin. It's dangerous stuff, right? He says, I still can't use my left arm like I was able to. He can only lift 2 pounds. We read that earlier. I lost my spleen. I'm also immunocompromised. And he told Business Insider that seeing MrBeast take accountability in particular would mean a lot. He said Donaldson isn't the company or people that rigged the wall, but he is the face and captain of the team. And that is perfectly said right there. Again, that's kind of what my sentiment was from that video back in December. Jimbo did not do this. Jimbo did not drop a piece of wood on this guy's head. We can all admit that. But but he is the face of Beast Games. It's literally his name, Beast Games, Mr. Beast, Jimmy Donaldson, right? He should, I think, I agree, he should come out and say, hey, something bad happened. We are looking into it still. It's a very long ongoing process and we want to make everything right. I have the funds, we have the power to make things right. And it's unfortunate that, Sam has to go this route because, again, like we've mentioned, the WSIB of Ontario, that insurance group, they have pretty much, already paid him out in what they think he was, liable for or what the injury covered and whatnot, which I don't think is fair. I think that stuff's all baloney. You know what I mean? You can't really put like a dollar amount to someone as like things are still happening. Like if you break a leg at work, that's one thing. Okay, I'll pay for a broken leg. But if you have a heart attack at work and then like a month later something else happens and a month later something else happens, it's so much things happening at once. And again, if there's still ongoing investigation, I don't think it's fair to just say, well, here's like a measly $500 and $1,000 at Uber Eats. Best of luck in your future endeavors, my friend, with your missing spleen and your arm that doesn't work anymore. Sorry. Better luck next time. You know what I mean? And that's about it, my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned a little something. I'm about to go watch the Elimination Chamber. WWE, I love it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out, my friends. Be safe. Much love. See ya.